So I'd like to thank Torah Anytime for allowing this shiur to reach the public, and we want to remind, of course, everyone that this shiur is Le'ilu Nishmas Mordechai ben Daniel. Okay, so we are in the middle of the 30 different methods by which one has to calculate their relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the different methods by which we have to improve and analyze our ways to figure out the various subtle angles of what it is that we need to do to enhance our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to enhance our service. So there are 8 different, so far we've done 7. We're now about to do the 8th particular aspect of this analysis, and they're going to be ultimately 30 in total. So let's begin. Hofen Hashminihu, the 8th aspect of what one has to calculate is a Cheshbon Nefesh ala Adam Lasais La'atzmo. The Cheshbon Nefesh, the introspection, the calculation that one has to do for oneself. Imumali es hachova hamutel salav. Am I fulfilling the obligation that's placed upon me or placed upon every individual? Yachid es havavo l'lekim yisbarach, to be miyached one's heart, to focus one's heart in service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'yichud zeh shel halev tzorach lios b'shnei ofanim. And again, this is something that we don't really focus a lot on. And it's strange why we don't. It's strange that somehow we are so more focused on the hows, the details, the technicalities, which again are of course important, but in very often fulfilling the how and making sure the details are done right and everything is kosher, we very often lose sight of where our heart, the role that our heart plays in this service. So we need to make sure to miyached the heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Make sure our heart is singularly focused in the right direction. And this focus of the heart in the right direction, with singular purpose, with purity, with a sense of purity, needs to be in 2 ways, 2 different angles. Echad, number 1, that there has to be in our heart just one singular faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These are expressions that he alluded to in the part of the sefer that we did not do. The part of the sefer that, as we mentioned at the very beginning when we did this, Shar Yichud is one that has been recommended by many of the Gedolim not to do. But a little bit, he gives us a little bit of a glimpse into it, is that our heart needs to internalize and to recognize and to focus on the fact that there is a singular trust and faith in one God. Shekelu echad v'yachid, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one and single. Like I explained in the beginning of the Sefer. And Beis, in the second aspect, is that when we do any particular service, Tavoras Hashem, whether that obligation, whether that aspect that we're doing, that service that we're doing, that action that we're doing, whether it be an obligation or whether it be a rishus, something that's it's voluntary. It's not an obligation, doesn't have to be, but I choose to do it. In everything that we do, there really should only be one kavanah. If a person really had their lives completely together and really understood why we're here in this world, in everything that we do, there'd be one purpose. Vihi, lasos esapul l'shem l'kim levadai. I'm drinking water. I'm having a steak. I'm taking a ride. I'm going somewhere. Whatever it is, I'm doing it for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I guess, right, that was the famous book written some years ago, All for the Boss, right? That was his essence. It's all for the boss. It's all for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why we're here, and that's what we do. And even when we're not doing a mitzvah, it never really means that we are forgetting what our purpose is. It just means that life has many different aspects to it, and but in all aspects, I weave it all together with the one particular goal, and that is to serve Hashem. Like we learned earlier in a different gate, which we Baruch Hashem did do, and that's the focusing of our of our actions, of our thoughts, and our purity, and everything that we do in the right direction, and to do with purity. So the aspects that we have to think about in terms of our belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is shlo yeh eloi elokim zlos yisbarach. There should be no other deity, of course, and obviously we can easily feel that we fulfill this without any problem, because we certainly don't believe in more than one God, but sometimes we do have a sense of trust or a sense of hope, or maybe some type of subconscious feelings that there are other people that will help. There are people that will help me. There are things that I can rely on. But sometimes we only turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when things are really rough, and when things are smooth, we sort of feel, it's sort of the laws of nature will take over and everything's going to be fine. When in reality, we have to live our lives every single day that it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu fueling the world, and that we completely need to rely on Him for all sustenance and for all help. So there should be nothing else but HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shal yaches lo tzurav lo tmunav lo midav v'shir. There should be in no way do we attribute to HaKadosh Baruch Hu any form, any shape, any measure, any type of limitation, no movement, nothing physical any which way. The slightest nuance of any type of movement obviously does not apply to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because those have physical and limited implications and connotations, which we, of course, would have no allowance at all to ever attribute to Hashem. Lo shum toya me'atar gashmim. Any type of physical aspect, even though we do have in the Torah certain physical qualities that sometimes are attributed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, such as vayicharaf, those types of things. They're just, as Rashi always tells us, in those places, this sort of just to make us be able to relate to what was going on at the time. But real anger in the sense of a physical person being angry, that is really not attributable to Hashem. Lo shum inyam minyana etzav v'mikra. Any type of aspect of, again, any type of limitation and sort of accidental aspects of Kodesh Baruch Hu doing things without total control, and of course to believe that there's no beginning to His beginning, there's no end to his existence. It's obviously infinite, and it's not bound by time. There are no borders to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's essence. He is one, and there's nothing else like His oneness. Shem Borei is also, there's no creator other than Him. There's no power that forms anything other than Him. And to attribute to HaKadosh Baruch Hu all the names that we call Him, which each one has a very deep, profound, Kabbalistic and other types of messages, that all those names and all of the attributes that we attribute to HaKadosh Baruch Hu are attributable only to Him, to nobody else, to no other force. So there's this complete, and again, a lot of these aspects are things that we have not gone through, because he discusses them more in the first gate of this sefer. But this idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ein od milvado, and essentially that's all. That's in a nutshell. That's what it's about. So that's the kind of thought we have to have in terms of our belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the kind of God that we serve. And continuing, the second aspect of what we think and what are our thought processes when we serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the actions that we do, not just in how we view God, but when we do things for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is sheychavim b'palaso rak lishmoy hagadol. When we do something, we are doing it just for His name, just for His sake. We have to try to totally eradicate any hopes of getting praise from people, that we should be in bright lights and recognized in any way, glorified for what we're doing. We should not be hoping to get any benefit from what we're doing. Not because we're afraid of anybody, and that's what's motivating us. And not to have some kind of other benefit that might come our way as a result of this, or maybe to remove damage from oneself, whether it be in this world or in the next world. I don't want to get punished. I want to get benefit. I want to get a benefit in this world. I want to get rewarded in the next world. All of these, which are they're not always so terrible, but they're certainly not the goal of how we should be serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kamosh Amr B'Seinu Zal is a famous Mishnah in Perek Avos tells us, Al tiu kavodim hamishamshim esarav amnasa kal pras. Don't be like those people, like those servants who serve their master with the hopes of getting reward. Be that type of servant that is serving the master simply because of the love of the master and not with hopes of getting a reward. And again, we mentioned this earlier some time ago in the Sefer, and we shouldn't misinterpret this as some earlier people did, that the message is that we're not going to get any reward. And when they heard that, they said, oh my gosh, there's no reward? Is that what we're being taught here in this Mishnah? And no, the message is not that you're not going to get reward. We will get rewarded for the things that we do, but that shouldn't permeate our motivations. It shouldn't be part of our whole thinking as to why we do it. We should have higher aspirations in a sense of loyalty and commitment, and just having such a sense of Avos Hashem, that we love HaKadosh Baruch Hu so much. That's what's motivating us to do it. And again, these are things that I think, like I said before, very often we don't really get into this mindset of what it is that we're thinking and what's our whole kavanah when we do the mitzvahs that we do. We just want to make sure we get them right, and then the other stuff doesn't seem to be as important. But we know from the Sefer that it's critically important of how we do things and the thoughts that go on in our minds, in our motivations when we daven and when we do service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So v'yasel liatzmo as Cheshbon HaNefesh odos milu chavoso. And again, if there are any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I thought the reward for a mitzvah is another mitzvah.
That is a side reward. That's not the reward.
Here in this one.
Right. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu will facilitate further opportunities for you to do mitzvos, but that's not the actual reward. I mean, the reward, we don't know what the reward is. It comes really in the next world.
But I understand. But to do with the kavanah, a mitzvah here now, so that you're having the reward of having another mitzvah to do.
Even that, while it's certainly a noble idea that I want to do more mitzvos, so so you're asking, is that, would that be considered inappropriate that I'm doing this mitzvah with the hope of getting another mitzvah? Well, you certainly have the right to have that hope, and you know what's going to happen. I mean, but really, when you think about it, if that's your goal, then that's the same goal that you have when you're doing this mitzvah. It's I want to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you're sort of hoping, you wouldn't look at that as benefit. The benefit is the same benefit that you have when you have another mitzvah is exactly what you have right in front of you right now. So what's your ultimate purpose in doing this particular act? It can't be solely because you want another mitzvah, because then what's your goal in doing that mitzvah?
What is a b'veikis with Hashem?
Right, exactly. And that's what should be. So, I mean, the fact that you're aware and you know that schar mitzvah is wonderful, but you wouldn't say that's why you're doing it, because you're minimizing the importance of what you're doing right now if you're thinking that,
I get what you're saying.
Right? So it's just in general, I want to do mitzvahs all my life, and Baruch Hashem, by doing these mitzvahs, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give me more opportunities to do mitzvahs. So that's fine, but like you said, but the real core motivation should be dveikus. I love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is my chance to serve Him. Again, these are not things that we can just snap our fingers and feel this way. This requires tremendous thought and purity and dedication, and eradicating a lot of working on our character traits, removing all types of egos and competitive forces and types of haughtiness or jealousy, anger, all types of midos, negative character traits have to be eradicated. For that emotion to come to the forefront. So this is not an easy thing to accomplish, but this is the proper way that we should be serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to strive for it and to work towards that. So part of our calculation, part of the Cheshbon HaNefesh in analyzing where we are and how we're doing is to see, are we doing it Are we doing it this way? Are we serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu with this type of perspective? So he says like this, V'yasel atzmos cheshbon nefesh odos milui chavos hazu, aidei shom el atzmon. And the way to make this calculation, if you're fulfilling, what this mandate is, by saying to yourself like this, talk to yourself and look in the mirror and have a conversation. So, and say, Hizbon achi, let's think, my brother, let's analyze this. How do people that truly love each other, how do they conduct each other? How do they relate to one another? What's the way they connect with one another? Hello, Sirah. Take a look, just in terms of human beings. What's the human dimension here in terms of relationships? Hello, Tira shekasher echad mavchin al chavero she'en libo shalom imo. If you sense in a relation with somebody else that our hearts are not, this person is not really legit. There's something about this person that they're being motivated by other factors. It's not really me that they're doing this for. They have ulterior motives. What happens when a person senses that? Let's say, certainly would be true if a master senses this about a servant, that here you're my servant, and here you're supposed to be subservient to me. You're in my kingdom, and I'm the king, and you're supposed to be, somebody I can rely on. And I'm sensing now that your loyalties are not really all there. The general reaction is anger. So I'm not anymore happy with what you're doing. There's a distrust of what's going on here. Even if on the outside appears you're really committed and you're really dedicated and you really look like you're giving everything, giving it your all, but I know that there's something going on here. I see that, and I can tell that there's something else that's motivating you. V'zos, this is true. That's even though I might need you. I need your help. I need your relationship, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be happy with you. It's going to affect the way I see things. And even though, yes, I'm only flesh and blood, and I do need whatever you're going to do for me. I do need it. At the same time, it will never. I'll never look at it the same way once I have a sense about you that you're not in it completely. If that's the case, if this is the way normal, regular humans react to situations, well then, how is HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to react if that's the human reaction, and a human is limited as to what they know about your motivation? For sure, wouldn't that be for sure a disappointment from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's point of view? Where HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at the world and says, I don't need the world. I don't need any individual here. The individual in this world needs HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not, he made us because he wanted to bestow kindness upon us. He wanted to take care of us, but not because he needed to. Every creation in the world is zakuk, is required, is needed, needs HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and cannot function without HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When is zakuk lehem, but God is not bound to them, and nor does He need them. There's no direct benefit that God has from anything in this world. He's all powerful and certainly above any need in that regard. He looks into the hearts of people. Okay, he knows all of their secrets, and he knows exactly what motivates you. So if there's going to be an impurity in terms of your motivation, if you're not really going to be all in it for the right reasons, he's going to see it. He's going to know every single nuance of your what makes you tick. And how what you're thinking, what you're motivated by. Okay, so why in the world would we ever think to attribute to HaKadosh Baruch Hu an attitude in a sort of a relationship It's something that we would never even assume our friends would be this way. Well, everything's okay. He's going to look the other way. He doesn't really care. Our friend cares. And somebody who really needs us would care. And someone who's limited in his knowledge of what goes on in my heart, yet he cares. And he picks up a little bit nuance of something and it affects him. Well, why would not HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees the purest forms of our hearts and goes into the depths of what we're feeling? Wouldn't he therefore say, what kind of business is this? You're not in it for the right reasons. This is a game. This is a show. The minute people aren't watching, you're acting very differently. So what's this all about? This is not sincere. Okay, there are things that we would we attribute to God, things we would never attribute to our friends who don't see our deceit, who don't see our duplicitous nature. And the whatever iniquity is hidden in our hearts. They don't really know that we're not whole with them, because we're sometimes very good actors. So we can, play the part and put on a good show. But that show doesn't work with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows exactly what's going on. So how would we not be concerned about how pure our actions are? When a wise, honest, thinking individual really looks into this matter, that person should be totally overcome with embarrassment. And the person should be focused on fixing up their insides, fixing up what really is inside their heart. And to give themselves over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with tremendous dedication, with tremendous energy and commitment. Both in terms of what is relevant in terms of my understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or whatever is relevant to my intent and my motivations in doing mitzvos, in learning Torah. These are things that have to be pure, have to be for the right reasons. I run after your ways, I run after your mitzvos. So we have to, that should be our goal. Our goal is to, if we're, and again, it's great when we can do this. But this is, like I said, it's a lifelong process. It's one that requires sometimes almost painful soul searching to really, think about, what really matters to me. And, do I really care? And do I daven differently when people are looking versus people are not looking? Do I learn Torah differently when people are looking, when they're not looking? And when we're younger, we're certainly almost encouraged sometimes to learn for the wrong reasons. That's, a big argument I deal with kids all the time, but they know how to argue. And why are we getting grades for Gemara? Why are we getting, tested, in all this type of sort of parallel curriculum type programming we have for the Torah studies as we have for the secular studies, because it does not diminish from the purity by which we learn. I mean, you think about it, it's a good argument. When you go to the Beis Medrash, you don't have classical tests in the way, you're not graded, you don't have a report card in the Beis Medrash. You go into Lakewood, you're not, so yeah, you have bechinas, whatever, depending on the yeshiva. Sometimes there are actually, systems of assessment, but there certainly isn't that type of sort of academic, pressure and the testing-based type of, learning. It's a whole different type of world. Why? Because you're not learning for the test. You're not learning for the grade. You're learning because it's your lifeblood. It's what being a Jew is all about, and all the mitzvahs that we do. So it really requires, and again, I'm not sure we could, redo the whole thing, and somehow find a different type of avenue to inspire our children to be motivated for loftier goals. I'm not sure if it's possible, but certainly when we get older and our thinking has to be more sophisticated and more mature, we then have to sort of redirect ourselves, recalibrate our thinking that we are. It cannot be about people, and it cannot be about image and reputation. It's got to be about the purest form of what really counts. And again, whatever, it's not the time to go through different, situations with the shidduchim and things. Sometimes when we make calculations, it's troubling sometimes when you get questions, and, the questions that you get sort of indicate, are you looking for the best young man for your daughter, or are you looking for the best young man who would fit the bill best of what people are going to think the kind of shidduch your daughter got? It's like, which one is it? Because, and again, the minute we're motivated by those types of things, that really touches to the core of, why are we doing things, and where is our motivation in terms of, living life and just, doing the things that we have to do. Okay. So this was number 8. We're now ready for number 9. Ha'ofanat shihu, cheshbon nefesh shel adam, and essentially, really, what we discussed goes back to this idea of Yuchla Ma'is. It's there's a whole gate that with 10 chapters that deal with the idea of what we have to do in the various ways. But this is just a sort of a recalculation of and a reassessment of how we're doing in that area when it comes to Cheshbon Nefesh, which is what we're doing right now. So Hofanat Shihu, the 9th avenue of analysis has to be Cheshbon Nefesh shel Adam Lasos La'atzmo Imu Mismasel Chol Echad Me'asugim Shel Avodas Hashem. If the 9th aspect is to make a Cheshbon Nefesh, if a person is given over, he is committed L'chol Echad Me'asugim Shel Avodas Hashem Be'etem L'ofei U'Mahush Shel Kol Sug V'Sug. Am I doing what I need to do in the way that I need to do it, commensurate to the particular request and situation that demands? So am I sort of matching the commitment to the task at hand? Minimally, I should be as committed to that particular goal of whatever it is that I'm being asked to do, to the level Shamelach Hayamata love. If a king would ask me, okay, if for in England, it's we don't have kings in America, but if we'd be in England and the Queen would make a special request, and we'd be loyal to the royal family, we'd have some level of dedication. If we were given a particular task by the Queen, Lahavdil, right, there would be a level of making sure I want to do it right. Okay, so, and certainly have soldiers today, and loyal soldiers who want to get the job done right, and they're very committed. So we certainly should have no less of a commitment to do HaKadosh Baruch Hu's bidding than we would to do a king's bidding. But tehem l'mahuso v'nyano, commensurate to exactly what it is that the matter entails, as he will explain. Ilu haya melech matalov tafkid sheish shamalio so aidei tunas gufo. If there was a particular mission that was physical in nature, would this person not give over all of his energies and all of everything that he has to bear? There'd be nothing would I spare, nothing that I would turn over every possible stone to make sure that I fulfill what I need to fulfill. Let's say the particular mission didn't involve a physical exertion, physical activity, but it involved analysis. I want you to probe into something and, analyze this particular problem for me. Or I need advice, or I need a plan of attack in a particular area of how we're going to approach this. So this was a cerebral endeavor. Then that person would totally centralize all of his focus or her focus and understanding and intellect and recognition, a love to give myself over to that particular goal, and I'd be worried to make sure I want to get it perfectly right. I want this job done to perfection. Or if, let's say, if the mission was, I want you to write up a nice little booklet about me. I want you to sort of, make a press release about my virtues. Okay, so the Queen is they're on a PR campaign, and I need you to write this wonderful PR piece about me, so that the people of England should know exactly how great I am. If that was the mission, okay, to praise and to thank the king, okay, or because of something good that, let's say, the king did, or chesed shas ito, either I did some goodness, or in this particular case, so it's more that I'm being asked to express my thanks to the king, to this individual. Okay, whether it be in different types of poetry or different ways of prose, of expressing it in any which way, that whatever the request was, whether it be a written dissertation, whether it be an oral representation, there'd be nothing lacking of whatever this person can bring to bear, all their talent, all their literary skills, all their articulation skills. There would be nothing that I'd sort of hold back in my expression and my writing and my communication. I might even go a little bit overboard after all. It is a banquet, so let's sort of lay it on thick. And maybe we'd exaggerate a little bit. And I would make these beautiful parables, and to whatever extent I can compare this person to. I wouldn't be that careful whether it's true or not true. A little exaggeration didn't hurt, because after all, I want to really let everyone know how amazing this person is, how much I owe them, how thankful I am to them. If I had the ability to be able to express to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to express to this individual praise with all my limbs, if I can do it with, physically, okay, with all my insides and all my outsides, if I were able to express in every regard, okay, how I feel, I guess, people, whether it be acting or maybe sometimes, through mime or through other types of physical manifestations and exertions, one could see how incredible, I guess you could do, hand carts or a head, whatever they call it, flips, and you're just jumping all over the place because I just want to express how excited I am. The person would do it, whatever it would take to express the absolute incredible thanks that I owe and a karas hatov, gratitude that I owe this person. And if I could get the heaven and earth to get involved and to move itself, right? What's the expression? I'd move heaven and earth to be able to pay you back and to express my kindness, my gratitude to you. And everything in heaven and earth, what incredible, poetic type of words that I use, that I would use every aspect of what's in this world to serve in that expression of thanks and praise to this individual. If I could do it, I would do it. Okay, it's very hard to find a way, but I would love to if I could. Why? To let my desire, my total desire, is to let the entire world know how much I love the king, how much he's done for me, how great he is. If you had that true sense of loyalty, you'd spare nothing to get that job done. And this is true for a king or for a queen that's limited in years. They're not going to be here forever. They're just flesh and blood. They're gone. They're good, and they're going to go, as is the nature of every physical human being. Commensurate to this incredibly beautiful and lofty paragraph that we just read, he's saying that's how we have to view our responsibilities to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in serving God. Shia says, and to do everything we can commensurate to the task at hand. So let me explain in particular what I mean. He says, let me explain to you what exactly I'm talking about. So Reishis Allah Chadas is the first thing you need to know. Ki kol pu'ula shel avodas Hashem be'chreach nechlalas be'echad b'shoshes hachlochem shel pu'ulas avodas Hashem. Every single action of service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, perforce, can be divided into one of three different categories. And he's going to take one by one. Okay, shehem, where they are as follows. 1, echad, mitzvos hamutalos alev adam levad. There are certain responsibilities we have that are purely cerebral. They're purely emotional. They just rest within us. There's no manifestation of it. Just it's in our hearts and in our minds. And that basically are duties of the heart, trust and belief and fear, love. These are all emotions. You can't see it. You can't manifest it really. You just the obligation is to love Hashem. The obligation is to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The obligation is to trust Hashem. These are all duties of the heart that don't have any physical manifestation other than those emotions themselves that we have to feel. Beis, that's number one. That's category number one. Number two, mitzvos hamutelos ala guf v'alev ke'echad. There are types of things and responsibilities that are twofold. They are placed upon the body to do and on the heart to feel. Could go and feel a prayer, right? You don't just feel prayer, you got to pray. You got to go, you got to speak, you got to daven. But in the meantime, if you're just davening and you're puppeting and you're not thinking about what you're doing, well, then you're missing a very integral part of what it's all about. So there are certain dimensions, certain aspects that have two prongs: the physical action and the thoughts behind it. Learning Torah, you're giving praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Torah, learning elements that are necessary to fulfill the Torah, technical aspects of how it is that we have to lead our lives, and also influencing other people to do good, to try to prevent them from doing bad, anything along those lines. Two aspects. There's the emotional aspect, the thought process, and the physical carrying out of what it is that I need to do. And finally, mitzvos hamutos aleivorim bavad. There are those. The third category are things that I physically have to do. But when I'm doing that physical thing, I don't necessarily have to have only one thought in my mind. The only connection that we have between the heart and between category 3 of physical actions, to have an intention at the beginning of what I'm doing, that I'm doing it for the sake of God. So they are involved in the beginning of the action, but they don't necessarily seem to have to be around the entire time. So if our parents say, "Can you get me a glass of water?" right? What should we be doing? We should say, "I'm hereby on a mission to get a glass of water for my mother and my father to fulfill the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em." Okay, now while you're doing it, and if you apparently what he's saying is if you think that way at the beginning of what you're doing, that's enough. You don't have to the entire time as you're going, to get the water. You're going to the drugstore to get the aspirin. Doesn't mean you have to be thinking the entire time. Then you can actually focus on your driving. But when you start to go, this is what is motivating you. Go mitzvah sukkah, lulav, tzitzis, mezuzah, shmir Shabbos mo'adim, right? All of the mitzvahs that we do on a daily basis, or during holidays, tzitzis, mezuzah, shmir Shabbos, of course, mo'adim, keeping the Shabbos and Yontif, tzedakah. We do the mitzvah of tzedakah, mitzvahs doime shehirurim b'dvarim acherim b'shas asyosin einim gorem me'erkam. Where if we're doing other things while we're actually doing it, it doesn't detract from the value of what it is that we're doing, as long as we started that process with a proper frame of mind. Okay, that's category number 3. So there's one that's pure thought, one is thought and action, and one is action that requires thought at the beginning, but doesn't require thought through the entire time that we're doing it. Those are the 3 basic categories. V'yatanavar, so let's at least get started here, and probably have to pick this up next time. V'yatavar l'cha ketzad alecha l'kaim es kol echad mishoshes ha'chalak ha'lalu shel ha'mitzvos. And now let me explain to you how it is that you can fulfill each one of these 3 categories properly. And let's start with the first one. When you are focusing on making sure you do the mitzvahs that are placed upon the heart properly, klaimar, meaning to say, any one of the duties of the heart, if you want to do it right, one really has to remove all thoughts of any other matter in the world, anything that's on your mind. Right? So if you want to fulfill, what's interesting is, there are mitzvahs that are consistent, or that are constant, right? The belief in God is a constant, but do you really, if you're involved in other things, at that point, are you really fulfilling that mitzvah? When you want to fulfill the mitzvah of the heart, of trusting in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or loving Hashem, having a sense of fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, really to fulfill that, he's saying to us, you have to remove everything else from your thought process. And at that particular time that you want to fulfill that particular focused endeavor and emotion, okay, you have to focus your heart and your thoughts, just to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like they say about one of the great righteous people of our history, he would say during his prayer to God, Elokai, my God, the worry that I have regarding you, that I'm not serving you properly. So I'm sort of consumed by a concern that I'm not properly serving you. I'm falling short in my avodas elokim. Removes from my heart all other worries. The only worry that I have is I'm not serving you properly, and whatever else is on my mind is no longer on my mind. This consumes me. This is my singular focus. I'm worried about serving you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a yoga, and I'm pained about it. Vadaga, another type of emotion, which is concern. Again, worry. Sheishli al sheneni kol kach rochok mimcha. I have such daiga that I am far from you. I'm not close enough to you. I'm not serving you. I'm not fulfilling my mitzvahs properly enough, and therefore there's a distance between us. That worry, that daiga that I have about my falling short in my service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, marachika mimeni es shar kol hadagos. There is no other worry. There are no other worries. There are no other emotions. The only concern I have, this overriding sense of concern, is only, am I fulfilling my responsibilities towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu? When you think this way, in the fulfillment of your emotional duties, the duties of the heart, of what we have to feel and think towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will accept what you're doing, and he will be completely satisfied by this. So there are three elements of how we do mitzvot and how we serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We only discussed the first one, but again, these are lofty levels. There's a reason why this is towards the end of the Sefer, because it's not something that we can just sort of, like I said, just accomplish without tremendous work. But this is the direction we have to go in. And again, it takes time, it takes analysis, focus, meditation. And Bez Hashem, we'll pick up the other aspects next time.
I have a question. How do you reconcile those thoughts with Vidu Hashem Simcha?
Well, without any problem whatsoever, because one of the psukim in Tillim is the Gilu Barada. Okay, be rejoiceful in your trepidation. And the idea of being concerned for doing the right thing actually brings a Jew to the greatest level of simcha. This is not about being neurotic. It's not about being self-deprecating or morose. It's a sense that you're just so concerned that to do the right thing, using that concern as a motivating force to just keep getting better. And that being in the fight and pushing ahead and plowing ahead to get better really is a source of the ultimate joy. So a Jew, I'm not saying it's easy.
It's more like that.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, it's self-introspection, it's self-criticism, but it's self-criticism for the purpose of getting better. So tshuva does not bring one to sadness, really. Tshuva really brings one to a level of simcha. So we have to be perfectly balanced to do this, but that's the way it should be accomplished if we're actually doing it right.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.